You're listening to The Sound of Young America. I'm Jesse Thorne, America's radio sweetheart. My guests on the program are Eric Wareheim and Tim Heidecker. They're the co-creators of the Cartoon Network series called Tim and Eric, Awesome Show, Great Job. They've also recently launched a live internet streaming television program called Tim and Eric Night Live, and they previously created the Cartoon Network series Tom Goes to the Mayor. Gentlemen, welcome back to The Sound of Young America.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having.
Always a pleasure.
It's hard to concentrate because now I see the Zune box and you're running Dells down here.
I got Dells and Zunes.
It's practically a whole PC office.
It is a PC office. You didn't know that going in?
I thought
we just assumed somebody in
Do you
media
guys
would
only
be-
do Mac stuff?
Yeah, we only
or-
use Macintosh.
Oh no! I mean, do you only do Mac interviews, Mac-based interviews?
Yeah, I mean, well, the quality of our voice doesn't work as well with a PC.
it's less creative.
Yeah, but the
it has
microphones
less frequency range.
are we using
Tim,
Shure microphones?
There is one Shure. There's two Shure microphones here. One's not a Shure. That's an off-brand microphone.
Okay, that's better. You might want to use that for a bass drum
Yeah.
or a snare drum, not for a voice.
Are you guys going to be drumming?
No, I'm just saying that's not a right microphone to use for a human voice.
Oh,
I would use a
is there
Blaupunkt.
a Blaupunkt?
A Blaupunkt.
A
It's
Blaupunkt.
good for a kick drum or a tom tom. Something with a low frequency. I'm
microphone-
gonna have to talk in a slightly higher pitch just so you can hear me.
The microphone I'm using right now is best suited for a cornet, jazz cornet, about 6 inches away from the diaphragm of the microphone.
I didn't even know that you guys were going to be doing music, and I thought this was in.
No, I'm not saying that we're going to do music. I'm saying what you want to use these microphones for in the future, not for voice recording.
You won't do music?
No, Tim records a lot of jazz in his spare time. Actually, I interned for him about 10 years ago, and that's how we met.
Oh, really?
So he
I don't
has a
record
thing
it.
too.
I engineer the sessions. It's a big difference. That would be a production.
I
that would
said
be a
record
producing job.
because not everyone knows
Right.
that engineer is a higher level
Right.
thing, but it is.
Wait, Tim, what's the difference between engineering and recording?
Well, the
I'm sorry.
recording, the recording is a function that you could have a recording artist on the panel on your control board controlling the actual recording. An engineer kind of has to look over the whole process.
Okay, so it's a sort of just a more senior position.
Yeah, you wouldn't call me a recordist.
You know, it's more of a creative position too. When I first started working with him, he would get the band in and just lay out all the instruments on the floor, and he would just take mics and he would push them towards what instruments he felt that would really. Sometimes it would be different every time, but he had a real good sense of.
Right.
And then I would set it up for him, and definitely recognize this as I would always put this on a low level. It's like a bass drum because this picks up low frequency. So if you're having a hard time understanding me at all, I apologize, and maybe next time we could bring our
I'd love to bring my kit over.
Well,
But
maybe I could do it in your studio.
It's not my studio. I'm just the engineer. My producer, Doc Hensley, would be the guy to talk to.
Do you want to give me his number after the show? I
Yeah.
don't want you to give it to me on the
Yeah,
air.
I mean, if you want to go there to record jazz, absolutely. If you want to go there to do a talk show, absolutely not. Because it's a jazz recording studio.
Sorry. God, I didn't know it was like that. Anyway, my guests are Tim and Eric. They're the creators of the Cartoon Network series. Tim and Eric, awesome show, great job. The two of you went to university together.
That's right.
will those Zunes play every MP3 or just just a Dell, like a .del file? Because I have a friend that has that, and I was like, here's my iTunes. You know, do you want to check out this new song? And she was like, sure. Let me hook up my Zune here. First of all, there's no interface because the Zune has this funky Dell connection. And then she was like, well, it's not a .del file.
Oh, that's difficult. No, I've never had any compatibility issues with my Zune, but I mean, if you have, I'm not one to accuse you of lying to me on my own show.
No, I think
I would never.
You know,
I would
speaking
never
of-
dream
you
of
can
that.
just put that. If you can put the Zune away from my site, I can
Right.
concentrate on this.
What if I just turn it over so you can't see the screen?
Well, the
that
problem
okay?
is it's so thick. It's about
It
it's
is
about
a
the
thick
thickness of
a deck of cards.
almost a double
Double-deck of
stack,
cards.
like 102 stack of cards.
It'd be 104.
104.
It's funny you talking about Zune though. I just saw this article today in the Wall Street Journal how they're rebranding it and respelling it as ZUN with the line over the U, and they're spending like $1 billion to get that awareness out there, which I thought is a tremendously poor decition on Microsoft's
Because it's
part.
not that.
It's
not
already-
that-
it's
not
al-
that different than Zune with the E, and now you're gonna have to redo the billboards and redo all the T-shirts and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So
Anyway, I guess what I was asking was
Yeah.
the two of you went to film school together.
Yeah.
What did you rose to prominence thanks to short films? Did those short films grow out of film school, or did they sort of come up in opposition to film school?
That's a great question. Short films I always found boring and hard to watch and pointless. But we made a few shorts in. I wouldn't call them short films. I would call them shorts.
Videos.
Short videos. Something that you would
Internet shorts?
Internet shorts. Well,
There
there
was
weren't the
no
internet.
internet.
There was
There
no
was
internet
no
when we went to
YouTube.
college. There was no internet when we went to
Imagine
college.
Tim and I going to college.
If you're listening to the radio right now, close your eyes. We're going to paint a picture.
Theater of the Mind.
It's called 1994.
Tim Heidecker, long hair, baggy clothes all around. Eric Wareheim, shorter hair, goatee, long,
Okay.
real baggy pants,
Several piercings.
several piercings. We both go to school, try to be artistic filmmakers. Steve Kuby, Quentin Tarantino.
Martin
Scorsese.
Scorsese.
We come together. We realize that this film school is not very supportive of comedy. It's only supportive of this artistic documentary style, which is cool, and that's what we tried to do.
You'll sit in an editing class, and the professor will explain to you how to edit on a Steenbeck. And I'll raise my hand and say, well, I know somebody that's going to another college where they're using computers to do this, or video. And he'll look at me confused and say, but I edited the Channel 6 news, the
Right.
news packages. So
So we were learning technology that was new 50 years ago. So it's still he's so new. It was new at some point, but so we learned on this archaic stuff, and we had no idea how to edit on computers or anything like that. So Tim and I started making. Our first film we made together was kind of an anti-film against the film school. And it was all about.
What was it called?
It was called Lobsters in Film.
Lobsters in Film, and it was a thesis film about, it was a documentary proving the simple point, really, that lobsters are in film. Not all film, but in...
And the B plot was that video technology is actually better than 35 millimeter film and how it looks and
VHS
translates
technology.
drama.
I think the use of video technology is an important part of Tim and Eric Awesome Show. Great job. It's a show, obviously, on the Cartoon Network that involves a lot of live action, but also a lot of special effects, graphics packages, sound effects
Yes.
packages, a lot of grids of green on a black background, sort of like in
there
the
you go.
pioneering film Tron.
Yeah.
A lot of exciting stuff. How did you guys become interested in those effects that are really in the show? I mean, they're very high quality. The kind of high quality you might see in an industrial film
Yeah.
or a local television production.
Well, Eric and I, along with our editors and other writers on the show, have always been obsessed with bad stuff, bad television mostly, bad videos, and we collect them and we trade them. And with the internet now, it's a lot easier to share them with people. But for years now, we've been we've had friends that make VHS tapes filled with horrible television. And even younger than that, watching TV as a kid, I'd always watch like the televangelists with my dad and laugh at them, and then so there's this whole culture of bad television, local television too. We always had horrible local commercials that in Allentown, Pennsylvania, that were produced by the local television station, that were just always funny, and we always try to make our commercials or our videos look as close to those as possible, because it immediately signals a laugh.
Do either of the two of you remember from the pre-internet era particular favorites, pieces that were particularly inspirational?
There was this one commercial that was a commercial for the cable company, Service Electric. And they had a jingle that went like this: "We were the first to lead the way. The pioneering spirit is still with us today. Channel after channel, they bring you more of what you want to see here on Service Electric Cable TV." And that would play like 19 times a night on this Channel 2 station. And it was so great. My sister and I used to sing it like it was our favorite song.
And one of the videos that I think, one of the first videos that Tim and I shared a real liking to was this German adult film that wasn't necessarily the look of it, but it was great bad porn video. But it was how the audio, it was originally German and then it was overdubbed into American English. but the way that the guy's inflection and how
It wasn't
off
that it was overdubbed. It was like the narration was in English, but he had this Dutch accent. So he would be describing the scenarios that you'd be watching. Look at them chippies. There's a couple of good ones for you.
That man is certainly going to give that chippy one good point.
Yeah,
Pump.
it was real polite in his narration. So that created an impression on us.
When I was a kid in San Francisco, this station KOFY was very well known for its station IDs that featured various area dogs relaxing in front of a fireplace. I find that when I think back to my childhood, that's what I think of.
Yeah.
More than any relative who gave me advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that I could remember that jingle, that I haven't heard it in 15 years, but I could remember every line.
I can still go KOFY TV 20 stereo. The stereo.
My sister and I go, KYW News Radio 1060. You know,
Those things are great, and they were done without any irony or sense of humor involved. But there was obviously production involved. There was people that sat around and were like, someone went 1060, and let's try that again. Scratch that. Let's start from the top. KYW.
You're listening to The Sound of Young America. My guests are Tim and Eric. Their TV show is called Tim and Eric. Awesome show. Great job. It airs on the Cartoon Network, Adult Swim. How do you find the point that is awkward enough to be delightful, but not so awkward as to be unwatchable? Or do
That's
you find
hard.
that point?
we did something today with Maria Bamford and this other great actor, and it was a little show that she has called Cleaning Up After Your Cat, and it's just ways to clean up around the house, hair, and we started with a litter box with poop. And
Fake cat poop in it.
she was picking up the poop and taking bites of it and and it was so awkward and gross. Even knowing that was fake poop, they just took it to such a level of.
But the backstory
uncomfortable.
that became the front story was that the man was an ex-lover of hers who she left. The relationship didn't work because of his cats. So she was blaming a lot. She was putting a lot of she was very unstable and emotional. I mean, I would assume that there's a good amount of people that would say that we cross that line every time
Every
and
bit.
don't think it's funny.
Absolutely.
But the people
every
that do
bit.
think it's funny probably respect the line that we've created.
Have you gotten negative reactions in public? Like, are there people who watch the Adult Swim? I mean, one of the most popular programs on Adult Swim is a show called The Family Guy, that is a very kind of base and referential cartoon
Pat.
sitcom. That's the show that made the
Yeah.
network. Are there fans of that who see the odd things that you do and react negatively?
I mean, we don't run into a lot of people that would say that. I mean, it's weird when you hear someone go, "Man, I love Tom Goes to the Mayor," and I love Robot Chicken and Family Guy, and I'm like, how can you like those things and like our show at the same time? But it's a broad spectrum.
I get a lot lately of, "Oh my God, I love your show. Tom was weird. Tom Goes to the Mayor was weird, but I love your new show." So I think the new show is definitely easier to swallow.
That's interesting to me because Tom Goes to the Mayor, which is the series that you guys did for 2 years or 3 years,
About 2.5 years.
2.5 years on Adult Swim, was a show that was very character and plot driven, or at least relatively character and plot driven.
It was a sort of a normal kind of show, except in the way that it was executed.
What are the similarities you think, given that big difference that the Tom Goes to the Mayor was a show about two primary characters, one of the characters' families, the goings on in a small town, and this new series is a sketch comedy series. What do you think are the similarities between the two? What exemplifies your perspective that you're bringing to it?
Well, the sense of humor. I mean,
It's pretty much what we thought was funny about Tom Goes to the Mayor. We think is funny. Really bad products. Really bad commercials. The idea
the
of
same,
making fun of America and.
the same crew of people make it. So I think there's a style that you can see it as an evolution from, the kind of the editing style and the graphic
Just
style.
this, absurd level of relationships. Like Tom and the mayor. There's many relationships that we've created in the new show that are like that, but different people. Just the way that people care about it's just a kind of a tweaked.
Can you give me an
thing.
example of a relationship that you really get a kick out of between characters in the new show?
There's Carol and Mr. Henderson is the office thing that we did with the coffee spilling. It's almost like Tom and the mayor in a way that there's this underlying love for each other.
Yeah.
On the outside, it's this really rigid, horrible thing that they have to do every day.
You should describe what happens in it for folks who haven't seen it.
Carol and Mr. Henderson is the bit where I play a large woman in the office and Tim plays a balding boss, and he comes over to my cubicle and tells me all the different ways he's going to make love to me, and and then he throws coffee in my face and calls me a fat cow. Capiche? Your joke, capiche? Then I work.
Tim Heidecker impression.
Yeah. Then I work out and try to get in shape. I lose 0.1 pounds. I come back to him, and he's kind of impressed with my body. And then I think things are going well, but he throws coffee in my face again. And then Larry, the office worker, smashes me over the head with a coffee pot, which is a really horrible thing. But then it reveals that Mr. Henderson is upset at Larry for doing that. And we
Really does love Carol.
go into this beautiful song about get a poke on, how he really wants to poke me.
The other relationship is always Eric and I in the show, because we kind of host the show, but we always introduce these challenges to our friendship throughout in the first episode of the second season. Eric finds a new best friend, this man named Raz, who's like this kind of white reggae, like the lamest man that you could ever imagine. And Tim, Eric immediately decides that Raz is going to finish the show, and Raz is kind of just going to take my place. And we do this really sad moment where you see me figuring that out, and that one, it's just Eric and I always can create little, where 1 minute we're against each other and the next minute we're the triumph of the friendship always comes up. And
this is a really intense job for the two of you to create this show, and I know that Adult Swim shows are lightly staffed. Mm-hmm. Is that ever a challenge to your real life friendship? Like, are you ever at each other's throats?
Surprisingly, not very much. I mean,
we've learned how to. Tim and I have seen each other for 8 to 10 hours a day for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And we have figured out a way to make it work. When we go home, we try to live our separate lives because it's a little intense to be working that hard every day, writing, being funny, talking about Shrek.
Yeah.
We're at a point right now that we definitely need a vacation badly.
You guys talk a lot about Shrek?
Yeah. Shrek is a huge part of our lives lately.
In what sense? I mean,
Did you see our Shrek campaign this summer?
I did see that you guys, the two of you, did an advertising. That was for Shrek 2 or 3?
The premiere of Shrek 3.
Shrek the Third, it was called.
Okay.
We did 16 promos for them for free.
It was a media blitz. It was kind of a
Did they
PR
ask
blitz.
you to do them?
Oh,
No.
We just
We
like to
decided
get behind films that we love.
For ethical reasons, we decided that film wasn't getting the promotion that it deserved, that we hadn't seen, but we felt it probably deserved. So that was it was a way to capture the imagination of the internet at the time and the possibilities.
I mean, to me, it was a way that how could I help? What resources do I have
What can
to
I
help
do?
this?
It's a grassroots kind of thing.
We have editors. We have, I have a talented friend named Tim. He could talk about the film in many ways, and we just put it on YouTube, and it just took off. And I mean, we filled the seats, and we made it a great opening weekend.
Yeah.
There are a lot of performers on the new show, Tim and Eric, awesome show, great job, who are great comedy performers from the Los Angeles area. I mean, lots of folks who've been on The Sound of Young America have been guests on Tim and Eric.
There you go. Nice plug.
Yeah, of course.
For your own show.
If you're out there listening, you should try listening to The Sound of Young America. There's also a lot of non-comedy performers, both non-actors in acting roles and non-comedy performers doing their performances. How did you
puppets?
Like puppets. How did you decide to incorporate that into the show?
I mean, with Tom Goes to the Mayor, we filled this town of Jefferton with people basically off the street or from casting websites, and that was always amazing to be able to go to a reaction of somebody that was just a regular looking guy. So when we were setting up this show, we were talking about who were going to play all these parts that we'd write, it wasn't just going to be Eric and I in wigs and glasses. And we just instinctually knew that we would want to if we were going to do a commercial for a product, we would cast real people as much as possible.
And also, it just helps for these segments to feel real and have this cable accessness to them when you don't see a recognizable comedian that's going over the top. I mean, I feel like you've seen that 100 times on a million shows. And
Yeah.
a lot of the times they're just kind of utility players in a scene, but other times they
steal the scene.
People come in, for example, David Liebehart, and we start working with them, and they're like, "Oh my God, or the guy Duda Doo guy comes in, and we're like, "Oh my God, here's a star," and now they're performing with us live in our live shows.
I mean, it's something that's not necessarily new, but I think to structure a sketch show that way is new. Letterman's been doing it forever, where he just kind of captures these great people that, there's part of us is laughing at them and part of us is kind of rooting for them. And
did you ever see when they would just have a guy just would walk across the stage all the way through?
Yeah.
What do they call that? I can't. Do they have a bit for that? Do they have a name for that?
That's one that I don't remember.
Oh, it's amazing. It's every now and then you just see a guy just walk all the way across, just
You guys have been performing a lot more live recently. You went on a nationwide tour about a year ago. You're, as we record this, about to head out to Las Vegas to do a live show to kick off the new season of your TV show. Mm-hmm. How is it different to put together a live show than to put together the video show, given that you don't have the sort of tricks of the trade that you can whip out in video form?
Yeah.
They're just a different bag of tricks, It's a different toolbox. It's a different palette. Another way of saying it.
I gotcha.
It's a different.
Are you saying you're like
bag of?
Good? Can I clarify?
Yeah.
Are you like an artist making a painting?
Yeah.
or
Well,
are
that's
you
the
like,
analogy I was trying to paint.
Oh.
Actually, I was trying to paint the analogy.
Oh,
So it gets even deeper.
well, it's double.
The tour that we did in the spring was more Tim and I doing sort of comedy bits that I think even if you're not a fan of the Awesome Show, you could go and kind of appreciate that that's sort of funny. Now, the Vegas show is more, it's a combination of those kind of bits, but also we're bringing characters that, the people that come to our shows know the Awesome Show. And
Yeah.
and to see David Liebehart or Duda Duda guy come out, they go crazy. It's a different kind of an experience. you
Yeah,
know?
it's definitely not something we would ever rely on as our main source of income or anything, because the shows are sort of adjuncts to the TV show. They're a little like mini conventions, where if I think 99% of the people that are in the room are fans of the show, and it's we could probably get away with Eric and I just coming out there and talking, but we want to have a little more fun and.
You have a lot of
Experiment.
costume changes, sort of
Yeah.
Liberace style.
Yeah, I feel like our show is exactly the show that I'd want to see if I'd go to see a show. I saw these two guys from one of my favorite TV shows do stand up recently, and they just did some stand up, and I
King of Queens.
Yeah, Kevin Arnold James.
Kevin Arnold.
Kevin Arnold James. But I don't know. I feel like the stuff that we're doing is what Tim and I love to do, which is to sing and dance, and then at the same time do ultra dry stuff about penises. It's what we like doing, but it's also what I would love to go. It's a variety show. It's like super energetic, and there's good videos and all that kind of stuff.
So you've also got a live internet television show that's also archived. I just watched an archived episode
What'd you think?
Oh yeah, what
on
did you
this
think?
First
super
one.
deluxe. It's an interesting idea. What kind of
Oh wow,
what is
I
Right for
bounced out of that.
interesting.
I'm the
Interesting.
interrogator
Sounds like
here.
My mother. That was interesting.
What can you do on a live internet TV show besides the obvious, which is talk to people, have people call in, that you can't do on your highly produced,
Right.
lots of star wipes.
Well, we can
Yeah.
we can show videos that we don't need to get permission for. We can show logos and
Talk about Papa John.
Yeah, we can not have to go through the filter of the Turner legal system.
So you can do a lot of Zune material.
Yeah, we're gonna do probably a Zune
God.
segment.
Soon's going.
If you need a
Soon's going
Zune
down.
guide for the show,
Well, I have a
pretty much
Zune. I have a Zune at the office that I got for free. I didn't have
Okay.
to pay for it.
Oh.
It was given to me as a promotional
And
item, but I
he doesn't
never
use
used
it.
it. Never used it.
I have a Zune still in the box, sealed. And I was thinking maybe I'll give this to a friend because it's like an Adult Swim.
But that would be a
thing.
rude.
And then
Rude thing
then
to
I have
do.
to buy them an adapter and
A Zune adapter?
yeah, get a Zune adapter and transfer all his MP3s to .del files. So
Right.
it'd be,
You
it's
know, with a
huge
Zune,
pain.
you can beam. You could just beam it to
Right,
him.
but who do you have to beam it to? Do you know
What, to me
another
with an
person with a
iPod?
Zune?
Yeah, I have a
How
friend
do I
with a
accept a
Zune.
You have
.del
one
with an
friend.
iPod?
You have
My-
one friend with a Zune.
My friend Jordan has a Zune.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
he's
good luck with that, you two.
I think it's an Adult Swim Zune that somebody gave to him.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you here. I think
Yeah.
somebody works at
Yeah.
Adult Swim and gave him an
Yeah.
Adult Swim Zune when his iPod broke. So I guess I'm the only person who's ever bought a Zune.
You're an old producer.
Deeply discounted price. That's all I can say. Deeply discounted price. Well,
Sure.
But you know, this just about the live show, we're trying to set it up in a very similar way that we shoot bits for the Awesome Show. We're just bringing people together. Like, I think the first episode, the end of it, was really great because there's a lot of people that were doing different things at the same time. And
Yeah.
it came to be this a really nice vibe that we like there.
You know, a lot of care is, people might think I'm joking, but a lot of care and thought goes into Awesome Show, and sometimes it can get kind of, you know, it gets old, you know, to really, because we do want all the episodes to be great, and we spend a lot of time on them, but so this is kind of a relief to be able to mess up and be able to not be a perfectionist about something and shoot something live and walk away from it, and for whatever it was, it's done. And the internet is like the Wild West. You can just go in and get money to do whatever you want to do.
is that how it goes?
Yeah.
You can say pussy, too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, Tim and Eric, thank you so much for being on the Sound of Young America. A pleasure to
Thanks
have
for
you as
having us
always.
anytime.
Thanks so much.
Ta-da. There's another Sound of Young America for you. I've been your host, Jesse Thorne, America's radio sweetheart. The show's produced by Speaking Into Microphones. Our theme music, written and performed by Dan Grayson with help from myself. The music underneath me right now, provided by Dan Wally. I hope you'll visit us online at MaximumFun.org, where you will find our daily updated blog and our lively discussion forums. Feel free to download and share this video, which is downloadable for free from Google Video, embeddable from Google Video, or downloadable via torrent from MySpleen. If you need a MySpleen invitation, just send me an email. Or if you have thoughts about the show, do the same. Jesse at MaximumFun.org.